takeoff. 1, race officer speaking.
Pressure coming here, pressure coming.
We're 1.5 below.
Stand by, 2 dives here, boys.
We're looking at 10.5 and 42.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I have to kick off by saying a massive thank you for all your kind notes about the last 2 pods. It means a lot. Ian Walker's emotional story especially really prompted a lot of you to write. So thank you. It's great knowing you're all enjoying the stories being told in this podcast. Now normally I sit on the green at Cowes to record my intro, but this time around it's tricky. The SailGP has taken over my spot. Next week the SailGP circus comes to town and there's an army of workers constructing the race village and grandstand right on the seafront. It's so exciting. It's going to be so cool. And jumping ahead a bit, we're going to bring you a SailGP special pod just before it all kicks off, as we talk to the CEO and the wing trimmer of the British team, Chris Draper. Before all that SailGP chat though, it's been a busy summer, and so we're celebrating one of our sport's greatest races with a podcast with one of offshore sailing's biggest names. I'm of course talking about the Fastnet race, which gets underway here again in Cowes in a day or so. I love the Fastnet. I've raced it a few times and filmed it many more. We've even stayed on the iconic rock itself, one of my favourite shoots of all time, in the middle of the Irish Sea, chatting to the boats on the radio as they round the lighthouse and head east to the finish in Plymouth. This edition of the race is special for lots of reasons. 40 years since the 79 disaster. It's a moment of thought really. Safety at sea has come a long way, but well, just be careful everyone. And there is a bumper entry of offshore talent, including the All Teams, the giant trimarans designed to break round the world records, which is where we come to our next guest. One of the giants is French trimaran Macif, and it's skippered by the fastest man ever to lap the planet sailing solo, Francois Gabart. We chatted with him a few weeks ago in, of all places, an industrial estate on the outskirts of London. I'll let him tell you what he was doing there, but he managed to give us an hour or 2 of his time, and I can tell you now, he's a fascinating man. If you're not familiar with the French offshore star, then be prepared to be impressed. The youngest ever winner of the Vendee Globe and current holder of the fastest solo lap of the planet. He not only has an amazing pedigree, but also an enviable intelligence. An engineering background and a really curious mind makes him, well, I think, formidable. He's also one of our sport's really good people. He's a true joy to work with. I remember before his first ever Vendee, we had featured him in the CNN show, and we're on the chaotic dock in Les Sables d'Olonne looking to get the shot of him saying goodbye to his loved ones and getting on board his boat to start the race of his life. And I'll never forget, he tapped me on the shoulder in the crowd and asked if we were looking for him. I mean, that never ever happens. He also always offers to carry the tripod, which is a true measure of a good guy in the TV world. We're fans, as is his massive French following. I hope you enjoy the hour I spent with Francois Gabart.
I think one day we'll just fly around the world solo on this type of boat. You're never ready for sailing a Vendee. You'll never be totally ready for it. I was so focused on the thing that I was doing, I didn't realize all the consequences of this.
Francois, many thanks for joining me on the podcast. It's great to catch up, and we've got quite a lot to talk about. I mean, normally when we meet you, you're at the start of a massive French race, or we come and meet you in Port-la-Forêt where your team is based. But today, you're in the UK, miles from the sea. What are you up to here?
We're just at Artemis Technologies because we're working with them for a while now, because the next Macif multi-hull it will be designed by VPLP, and VPLP is working with Artemis Technologies. And they work a lot on a simulator that has been used for the GP cells. And it was interesting for us to see a little bit how it works. That's why I'm in the UK today.
It's like sailing with a PlayStation. I mean, how did you get on?
I was really excited. There's a lot of buttons everywhere, so it was just like a small kid playing with a new toy. So it was interesting, and after it's like a big PlayStation because there's a big screen, and it's really interesting because everything is moving and you start to really feel the boat. Of course, it's not like in the real world. But it's maybe better and even more when you're starting to sail on a boat like this that could go crazy fast. Thinking about all flying boats because we crash several times. I think the first time we really had the boat, we crashed after 2 seconds. So it was probably good to understand a little bit how it works before to just do it on a real boat. But yeah, I think it's really interesting, and I'm convinced that it was something that will grow up in the sailing world in the next years. It's already has been a little bit the case in Formula One or even over cars racing. So I think it will develop in the next years in the sailing world. Probably first. It starts with on America's Cup with inshore sailing. It will arrive. It's already a little bit in the offshore sailing because we use this type of simulator VPP for designing our boat. So we have to understand how it will develop in the next years and how to use it in a good way.
I can see the cogs are turning, aren't they? How you can apply this technology to your world. I mean, what do you think you will use it for?
Offshore sailing is a little bit different, and we cannot sail around the world on a simulator. That's no point. Or we cannot train to sail around the world in a simulator. But there's plenty of. In fact, it's a tool, and we can use it in plenty of different ways. I'm first thinking about the autopilot. We use a lot of autopilot when you're sailing solo offshore, and we need to improve them. And the simulator could be a really good tool for this. It's also interesting to maybe go in some extreme conditions on a simulator because it's not so easy. For example, there is not so many times where you can jibe on a multi-hull like the trimaran Macif in 40 knots. So at the moment the simulator cannot do this, but it's interesting to try things and to go in extreme condition, try maybe extreme sail configuration, or to just do some tests and you can crash. It's more easy to reboot a simulator than put a boat on good after crash, and especially on big multi-hulls like Macif or Ultim boats. It's you cannot crash. We cannot afford it.
I'd like to see the simulator for the Ultim class.
Yeah.
That's going to be great. So what are you up to at the moment? What's the biggest thing on the horizon?
A lot of things is happening for me at the moment, but I'm most of my time onshore. With my company Concept, we're working on different projects, and of course my main project where I'm the skipper is a trimaran Macif, and the boat is at the moment on ground on a shed. After the Rodurum, we will launch it again on water at the end of May, so in a few weeks, and we're happy to do this, but only with one foil. Because I lost a foil during the Rodurum. We are building a new one, and it will be ready to sail start of July. I'm sailing. I try to find a way to still sail during this timing, and I sail on the Flying Phantom. One of our goals is to do the Foiling Week and European Championship on the Flying Phantom. It's really nice. It's different than the simulator, but it's a good way to be back, to try to spend hours flying on a small boat. And this is a little bit the same. You can try things. You can crash on a flying phantom. It's possible. You can't do it on a trimaran, an ultimate trimaran, but you can do it on a flying phantom. So I'm trying to sail as much as possible on this small boat, and it's really good because I just love it. And there's so many things to learn on flying boats. That's good to practice and to try things. On the same time, I'm also focused on IMOCA boats because we're building, with my team, we're building a new boat, Ep3, for Charlie Dalin for the next Vendee Globe. There's a lot of things happening also on IMOCA class just now and in the next years. As you know, the boats start also to fly in some conditions, not as often as we could do on a multi-hull, but it's a lot of things will happen, and I'm really happy to be part of this game also.
Now, you sailed Macif around the world on your own, and we'll get to that a little bit later. That's a story in itself. But what's it like sailing it fully crewed? How different has that been?
I'm really excited about sailing with a crew on a Ultim. I sailed a lot solo last 10 years. I learned a lot sailing solo because you're just alone on the boat and you're in front of yourself, and that brings you to a process where you have to learn about yourself and trying to be better. And I love it. And I learn so many things, but I just feel that I arrived to a point where now I also can try to bring all the things I learn alone and try to make it work with a team on the boat, because I'm already working with a team onshore, of course. And I'm just want to do it, and I feel I have now things to learn myself being on the team. I'm just excited about it. I don't know how long it will go, and maybe after a while I will just think it's good to be back on solo sailing, or maybe I will just sail even more on a crew. I have no idea, but I'm just really personally excited about it. And about the Ultim, that's boat that could be sailed solo, of course. At the same time, the revolution we're just living with the boat that start to fly. I think one day we'll just fly around the world solo on this type of boat. I'm pretty sure about it. But probably that's the first time we will fly around the world will be with a crew. It will be more easy. And the flying process is something that is really important for me, and doing it with a crew is probably the best way to arrive fast for this. And we will learn a lot about our boat, we will learn about how to fly, and we'll probably just make the solo race after even better, because we will learn so much on our boat that what we could do after solo on, it will be, I think, really nice. And target is to fly around the world, clearly.
It's an exciting time, isn't it? It feels also that it's really accelerated. I mean, the last time we saw you, Francois, you'd just taken Jimmy Spittle out on Macif for a spin, which started plenty of gossip in the world of sailing. You know, how did he enjoy that, I guess, and what did you get from him?
A lot, because Jimmy is fantastic sailor and a fantastic competitor, and it's something interesting about just sailing with him is the way he's looking at his sport, the way he's looking about sailing, the way he's looking about boats. Yeah, every discussion with Jimmy is interesting, and you can learn a lot of things with him, and it was a wonderful experience, and I hope also, and I imagine a good experience, wonderful experience for him also, because it was maybe one of the first time he was sailing on a boat like this, and with an autopilot, with a boat that's flying with an autopilot. Jimmy was arriving to something that was different than what he is used to sail. He brings all the things he could learn with the Cub, because he's probably one of the guys with all the sailors on the Cub that flies hours and hours in the last 5 or 6 years. So that's interesting, and I do believe that the sailing world is living a huge revolution with the fly, and we have to share and to talk a lot in between all the different boats on inshore. I mean America's Cup, the Ocean Race, IMOCA, Vendee Globe, Ultime. We all learning different things. And to understand this revolution, we need to pick up things a little bit everywhere, and that's why Jimmy was on board, and that's why he also probably was happy to be on board, because I'm not saying that because of this experience he will win the next cup, but maybe it just brings him some ideas about things that he could bring on the cup, and definitely we learned things with him that we could directly use on our boat. So it was a good experience, and we were talking just before about sailing on the Ultime with a crew, and I'm definitely thinking also that it's nice. It's a good way to bring people it's a little bit outside of this French solo world. So if we only have solo racing, it's difficult to invite people from other field of sailing, and Jimmy, for example, is a good example. I mean, why not sailing with him on a crew race in the next years? And why not? I mean, there is plenty of opportunities, I think, for a sailor from the Cup, from the Volvo, from Olympics to sail on the Ultime if we have this type of race.
No, it's exciting, isn't it? I mean, we were in San Francisco this year, and to think it was only 6 years ago that the Kiwis foiled in San Francisco, and everyone was like, oh yeah,
that's possible. Yeah,
it's amazing to think now, it touches every aspect of our sport. It's amazing. Anyway, we'll come back to foiling in a minute, but I want to rewind a little bit to a period in your life that I've always been curious about. Is this right? When you were 7, your parents took the whole family for a year's sailing adventure. What do you remember about that year on a boat?
A lot of things. My parents, they're not sailors, but they love boats, and we spend a lot of our holidays on a boat. But they decide to stop working for 1 year and to bring all the family. I have 2 sisters, 1 big sister, 1 small sister. So all 5 of us, we just live on a boat for 1 year, and we just sail around the Atlantic. I was 6, 7, and it's timing of life where you start to or at least for me, I have some memories of this, but it's not everything. But I do believe that there is a lot of things you learn. It's like feelings, emotions, smell, vibes, all of this. I just get all of this during this trip, and it's clearly when I'm sailing now, there is all of this that's coming back, and of course, as you could imagine, I'm happy and I'm good on a boat. That's maybe not a surprise, and I don't know why. But I do believe that it's probably thanks to this trip where I just was on a boat and happy on a boat, and it was a good time. At this time, it was absolutely not racing. It was just traveling, holidays, big holidays, and I do believe that it's bring a lot of things for all the rest of our life, and probably. It's something quite concrete from me because of the job I'm doing now. But I'm even thinking that for my sister that they're doing other jobs, but in their way of living, in their way of looking at their job, I'm pretty sure that they learn. They just learn a lot of things during this trip, and.
I met one of your sisters. We interviewed her at the finish of the Vendee. We were waiting for you to cross the finish line. And You know, she works in a bank,
Yeah.
so it obviously didn't quite inspire her in the same kind of way as it inspired you.
No, that's different. But you know, sailing on a boat like this, it's not doesn't mean that you will be a sailor later. It just means that you have trust in things on life, or there's plenty of things that you just look a little bit differently. And I hope my sister, and I'm pretty sure my sister, they have this. They have this also.
Your early days were in a way similar to mine. You grew up dinghy sailing, apart from the big trip. And, you know, now I know that, you know, the Vendee is a massive deal in France, but surely the most competitive class in French sailing is the optimist. I'm imagining thousands of hyper-competitive kids charging around the wonderful race course. But, you know, you won national champion, the perfect start to what at the time, you know, was to be a career as an Olympic hopeful.
Yeah, and it was, well, actually when I went back to this trip with my parents, I was 7, and I started to sail Optimist just after, and in my mind I was absolutely not thinking about offshore sailing. I was just I was not thinking about the future. I was just a kid, and I was just thinking about having fun. And I love Optimist. I love sailing. I also start to love competitions, because it's where I start competitions, and I grew up with this. And more than sailing, it was maybe all the competition, and I will say doing a sport and trying to be as good as possible on the sport, and it's something that helps me a lot. One of the things when you're sailing on dinghy like an Optimist is like Olympics, and I was dreaming about Olympics. And I was dreaming already about Tornado, because when I was 9 or 10, I was sailing Dart 18 with my dad, and quite fast I just started to sail Dart 18 with my friends from Optimist. And I was doing Optimist because of the competition, but I had fun on a Dart 18, and I love sailing on a multi-hull. And so the combination between Olympics and multi-hulls was Tornado, and I sailed Tornado from 2001, 2005.
Already you wanted to go fast.
Yeah, and I was dreaming about Olympics. Fortunately, I was not good enough, or I would maybe say the French sailors on this class was really good.
When did you realise that you were quite good at this sport? I mean, what was the young Gabart like?
There was something, I think, inside me that grew up a little bit during these Olympics years, was that I was thinking was a little bit, I won't say stupid, but was something missing when I was going around Boo and just going back on shore at night. I was thinking why we could just try to go a little bit further and just sail at night and just go away. And I also was probably lucky to live in a country and to where this offshore sailing is quite developed, and solo offshore sailing was working well in France, and there was plenty of people who was just doing their job with this. So I was thinking, why not? At least I could try. So I try.
I used to sail in the Olympic classes with Samantha Davies, and she was exactly the same. She was so bored going round, going round and round. And you know, in the Olympic world, you just practice something thousands of times.
Yeah.
And in the end, she was enough. Yeah, I'm off to sail around the planet. I remember when I spoke to your sister at that Vendee finish, she, as only a sister would, she said, oh, you know, when you were growing up, you were a complete nerd. You were always in your bedroom on your computer. I mean, do you think is that a bit unfair, Francois, or is that hinting at the truth?
I don't know. I like to try to understand things and trying to, you know, I love sailing, but I love boats also, and all the technical parts on boat. So I love to learn how it works, and spending time to try to understand how it works, or it could be faster, or you can be better.
Well, there's still a lot to learn. There's a real pathway, isn't there, in France in offshore sailing? You know, it's no wonder there's such a massive amount of talent. You know, is that a big factor in where you are now? Perhaps just, you know, just talk about that pathway.
You mean the way I arrived to the offshore sailing and?
Yes, but I mean, it's not just you, is it? I mean, nearly every offshore sailor
Yeah.
has this clear pathway. You know, the Figaro and so on. Just talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're lucky in France to have, of course, I will say from an economical point of view for a sponsor in France, you can propose to a sponsor a lot of different things, from 1,000 euro to 20 million euro a year, from Figaro, Mini, multi 50, class 40. There is a lot of things to explore, and that's good because it's not the most difficult thing is to get a sponsor. And if you have all of these different opportunities, you could imagine that you manage to find a sponsor and to bring him to this, and after you can play around all of this class. So I sail on the Figaro, and after this I sail on the IMOCA, and after this I sail on the Ultime, and that's a good way to. And I do all of this path with a sponsor, and that's quite. I won't say that's easy to do it in France, but that's probably the place where it's most easier to do.
I mean, I guess, you know, in other countries, particularly in the UK, you might have spent 5 years in an Olympic class sailing round and round the buoys, but there's no clear pathway to get into offshore sailing.
That's true.
It's very difficult.
It's difficult. That's true, and. But I will say it's still difficult in France, but it's more easy. And one of the good things, there is some easy way to do it, but there is plenty of way to arrive to offshore sailing. And that's, I think it's important to keep it like this, not having only one way. Because if you just look at the Vendee Globe, if you look about all the skippers, they all have different stories, they're different ages, they're all different, and it's probably because there is different way to arrive to the Vendee Globe. And I think we need to fight to keep this, to not try to make something that's too fast the same way, because at the end we will have same skippers, same type of boat, and that's not the Vendee Globe. And the diversity we have in our world, with all different skipper. Unfortunately, we don't have enough. I mean, we could have half woman, half male. Unfortunately, it's not. But it's maybe one of the only race or sport in the whole world where we still have on the same starting line male and woman just fighting on the same starting line. So we need to keep it. And there is old people, young people. There's people that are coming from Olympics, some other that coming for more adventure or cruising. There is so many ways to arrive to the Vendee Globe.
Although the traditional way, isn't it, is, you know, Mini Transat, Figaro, Transat. I mean, when did you start thinking, it all leads to the Vendee, but when did you start thinking, right, I'm ready, I'm going to take on the Vendee?
You're never ready for sailing a Vendee. You're never sure that it's good timing to go to the Vendee. But in 2010, I sailed on the Figaro for 3 years, and in 2010 I just feel that I think I understand that I arrived to knowledge about sailing where I could imagine doing the Vendee, and at the same time I understand that you'll never be totally ready for it. So you can wait, you can do plenty of Figaro, you can win the Figaro, but does it mean that you will be totally good for it? Not really. So I just feel that it was not totally unconscious to think about doing the Vendee, and at least at this time my sponsor was Macif, on the Figaro, and I was thinking I should ask them if they could be interested in doing the Vendée. And I remember, and I knew at this timing that it was just 2 years before the next Vendée, so it was quite short to prepare it. I knew that it was impossible to do it alone, so I was already in contact with Michel Desjoyaux because we were planning to do the Barcelona at the end of the year. Was a race around the world double-ended, and I asked him if he wants to help me to do the Vendée, and he told me first, no, don't do it. You're too young. Just wait a little bit. And I think maybe I just came back. I just think a little bit on my side. And I think no, I have to go, and it was difficult because Michel was,
He'd won
the
it
perfect,
twice.
yeah. I have absolutely no experience on the Vendée, and the one was the best experience. Saying no, you're just probably too young. But at the same time, I was feeling that, I can wait all my life. That Michel told me, yes, you're you're big enough to do it. So I just came back to him and I say, okay, whatever happens, I will try to do it. So with you or not, but I will try. And I think at this time he understood that it was probably better that he helps me to do it.
I remember interviewing him at the start of that Barcelona World Race. I mean, you were so young, and he was, he was the legend of French offshore sailing. And he told me then that you had this real talent, that you were a special sailor. He'd realised. How important was he in your career? What impact did Mich have?
It's huge. Of course, it's huge because the Vendee Globe is whatever happens in my future life. Vendee Globe will still be something huge, and clearly, I don't think I will have been able to do this race, or at least to do it the way I did it and to win it if I could have the support of Michel and all the team he has around him at this timing. So that's just huge, and I'm thankful for this meeting that I have with Michel. And I will say even just a little bit before with Quito de Pavon, also on Corbel. A lot of people I just met when I arrived to Parlaf, this small French village, where really small city, but with plenty of great sailors. And thanks to them, and thanks to all the things I learned with all of them, and especially, of course, Michel, I learned a lot of things really fast, and I did the Vendée, and I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Did that come with pressure? They obviously recognised something special in you. In a way, he was setting you up to win the Vendée, to be a winner. What pressure did that bring?
I don't think it was a pressure from them, because they were just helping, and Michel never told me, I believe in you and you have to win the Vendée. it was not the case. It's eventually, but my sponsor was smart enough at this timing to understand that it's not easy to win the Vendée, and we have to build a project in a long-term perspective to try to have maximize our chance to win it one day. Only pressure you could have is eventually from your sponsor. Just invest a lot of money and just want to have his money back with communication. But I think the connection I have with Macif at this timing was perfect, because they understood the potential we could do together, but at the same time they didn't much pressure. They took the decision to build a new boat. It was a risk from them, but I will say a smart risk to invest in a new boat with a young skipper, and it could be a pressure, but they were smart enough to don't make it like a pressure and just say, okay, we just together believe in a long-term collaboration, and we have to try to maximize our chance to be as good as possible, as fast as possible, and that was smart.
You know, I've been lucky enough to be at a few Vendee starts and gone down the canal. It's amazing, isn't it? Tens of thousands of people lining each side, wishing you well. One thing that's guaranteed is that I will cry. And I've tried on a few occasions not to, but it's so emotional. You know, it's impossible not to get upset by it all. You know, I was wondering how you remember leaving Le Sable d'Olonne, feeling not quite ready, the first Vendee, about to take on the planet. You know, what was that moment like for you?
That's a crazy moment. That's crazy when you just live once in your life, because even if you sail around the world after, it's not the first time. So yeah, I don't know, this it's part of my life where a lot of things were happening really fast, and you just arrive here, and you just have the world in front of you, literally, and that's in a way scary, and in another way plenty of dreams that could arrive just here, and I just feel life is emotions, and if life is emotions, clearly this day is a good day for living, and that's some experience you just have to. Yeah, I always will remember this, and that's wonderful to live it, and to live it as a skipper. Of course, it's something great, but to live it also as a public, I think a lot of people just live something strong, and that's what we're all trying to do in our life, I think.
It's a special day. I mean, even if you don't know much about sailing, I think about it now and I could choke up. You know, but I imagine, you know, the young Francois Gabart, he gets out of the canal, he gets ready to go, and then you're on the start line with all these French legends, you know, Jean Le Cam, Armand Leclerc. You know, how intimidating was all that?
I was not intimidated by the other skippers. You have to be intimidated by the trip you have in front of you. That's clearly a long trip. I was used a little bit to sail with these legends in the years before, because when you arrive, it's more when just after Olympics you arrive on the Figaro, and I was really young and sailing against or with this legend of sailing, and this transition was brutal. But in a way, when I was on the Vendee Globe, it was already 3-4 years I was sailing with them, but I will even say living with them, because we living in the same village, and we just we spend times, we talk, I was clearly feeling I was part of this family.
I mean, ultimately it went very well, and I think any of the public that was watching will remember that match race through the Southern Ocean between you and Armel. You know, how intense was that period?
It was incredibly intense, and I think, you know, as I told you, I love competition, and I'm a competitor, and I love sailing. I love sailing offshore. What could you best than sailing offshore? It's sailing around the world. What you could imagine best than competing around the world was like this match race with Armel, where we were just a few miles away most of the time during the race, and fighting and trying to just win few miles. It was incredible until the end, quite difficult, intense. I just didn't sleep so much. I just it was hard, because there was always I just enter in this competition mode where you just try to do all the best all the time, and there is no time to relax. It was always trying to be as good as possible. It's what I was looking for. I was already thinking before the start to just leave it 100% all the time, and it helped me with Armel so close to just went into this 100% focus on the boat and on the speed of the boat, and it was.
How do you do that day after day?
I don't know, and I still don't know. But you just try, and you try, and you just don't know exactly how you will manage the day after. But day after, you just try again, and it's how you manage to push your limits and to try to be better, try to learn things about yourself that you never think you will be able to do. And that's one of the interesting thing with this race. It's just and it's also working with a lot of different sports, but it's working really, really good with the Vendee Globe and all this crazy race around the world. It's push you to do your best, and you don't have the choice. In fact, you have to do it, and that's interesting.
Then, of course, it did end. It was over, and the flares came out. The iconic pictures of those famous names that have gone before you: Michel, of course, Alain Gauthier, Vincent Rio, and now Francois Gabart. I mean, how surreal was that, sailing back into the Sable d'Olonne?
That was really good to be back. First, because you just want to just find back your team, your family, people you love, and of course I was so proud to be a winner. I was dreaming about doing the Vendee Globe. In fact, I never dreamed before to win it. I was just dreaming about doing the Vendee Globe, and going from this, I just was a winner of the Vendee Globe, and it was just it means that I did the job and I did it well. So I was really proud of this. But I don't think I really realized at this timing. I mean, at least the day when I arrived, I was just thinking I did something incredible, but I didn't know exactly what. I mean, I didn't have. I was so focused on the thing that I was doing, I didn't realize exactly all the consequences of this in my life. And
I mean, a household name in France after that.
Yeah.
Name. You know, how did that race change your life?
Of course, it changed your life. It's changed a lot of things, and hopefully, I hope it changed it in a good way. I'm pretty sure about it. It changed. It changed things for me, as I was absolutely unknown in France before, and a lot of people were just know me. They stopped me in the street, and in a daily. It didn't change so much my way of living. It changed the way the world was looking at myself. What I clearly hope is that when you're doing offshore sailing, and especially a race like this, is that you learn things about yourself, and it gives you a lot of trust about yourself and about things you can do. I was thinking a little bit it was impossible to do it, or it was impossible to win a race like this, and the fact is I did it. And after this, you're really optimistic about a lot of things, because you just think that a lot of things are possible. I even think that after this Vendee Globe, my trust about life, myself, the boat, people around me was even higher than before. I love speed. I'm not afraid about speed. We are living a revolution with the boat flying. If you just stop the boat when you're going 50 knots and you stop it quite fast, it's really brutal.
Now, Francois, we've interviewed you a lot over the years, and I can truthfully say, I mean, you're a journalist's dream. You're well organised, you have the most relaxed, can-do press officers, and we go all around the sport. You talk in perfect sound bites. You even ask about, the colour of the shirt. I mean, it's very unusual. It's very, very rare. Where has that come from? I guess that ease as a communicator, and also I feel a sort of empathy with other people who are doing their jobs in the sport. I mean, you're very unique in that.
I don't know what to say about this. I do believe that we're all unique, and I'm fighting for this.
I guess it's
to try to follow your way, and we all unique. I'm sure about it, and I'm fighting for this. I mean, as you said, you mentioned a lot of sailors that helped me, as Michel.
I suppose what I'm getting at is, I mean, I think you see the whole package. You're a good communicator, but you also see it's important to get your story out. And I suppose in my job, we touch sailors in all disciplines, and you just have a unique understanding, I think, about the sport as a whole.
I don't know. I hope so. One of the things maybe to try to see the big picture is one of the things when I started selling Optimist, it was just like a kid, something that I wanted to do, and it was really I will say egocentric. I wanted to sell Optimist, and I was selling Optimist, and I was selling dinghy, and after even when I was selling Olympics, I was selling double-ended, so it was something I shared with one people, but it was quite focused on us. And when I start to sell solo, and because offshore sailing is like this, with a lot of people are following it, I start to understand that what I was doing, that was just a personal dream to sail offshore, but was a little bit also something you can share with people. And coming from a competitor that's just trying to win things or to do your dream, my personal dream, that was sailing offshore, that was doing the Vendee Globe one day, I start to understand that trying to make this dream work was important for other people that was following the race, important for a sponsor, important for a lot of other people. And I think I realized it was quite good, because the job I wanted to do was not just only something for myself. It was just like something I will say that was in a social point of view was important. I mean, sailors, we don't save life of people, we don't bring food to other people, but there is plenty of jobs like this in our world. And I understood that the job we're doing has a value for everyone if we bring something to everyone. And we're bringing something, a little bit of dream, a little bit of hope, a little bit of something different than that people needs, that our society needs. And for me, it's really important, because it's not only trying to win a race or to make a boat fly or to just try to be better. It's trying to do this for a good reason. And the only good reason I see is trying to make it useful for other people.
What about the reverse, Francois? If you could interview someone for a podcast, who would you sit down and talk to?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Someone that is, doing crazy things, and it's way of inspiration for myself. I'm thinking Alex Honnold, crazy solo climber. Maybe not so crazy, but that's just like people like this. And I'm on not on the sailing world. I'm lucky enough to meet a lot of people. Now in Singapore, we're talking about Jimmy and America's Cup sailor. I mean, in offshore sailing, I think I met a lot of amazing sailor. But more on the water sports, I'm thinking about surfers or Kaileni, John Florence. There is so many people that's that's inspiration for me. And I do believe that you need to pick up things a little bit everywhere to try to. So yeah, John, Kaylani, and Alex Arnold, good will be a good podcast.
People who take on the impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see you in Jaws next year.
Yeah, hope so. We'll like.
Right, let's move on. I mean, currently you're the holder of one of the most elusive records in sport. And before I ask anything, let me put this in perspective. In December 2017, you finished a lap of the planet in 42 days, 16 hours and 40 minutes, breaking the record by almost an entire week. Sailing the giant 100-foot trimaran Macif solo to break Thomas Colville's record. Now that in itself is a remarkable achievement. How proud of that landmark record are you?
Oh, I'm really proud. I told you just before that I was trying to do the Vendee Globe and I didn't know it was really possible to win it. And when I just write this record, I was clearly thinking it was impossible to win it, to beat it. And again, just because you think it's impossible, you just try to push yourself, and at the end I also have to admit I had chance. You need chance to do something like this, and I was lucky enough to find a good weather window, but I had this weather condition that was good to go really fast, and especially in South Atlantic on my way to go to Indian Ocean, but also on my way back. But the good thing, and I'm proud about it, is that I didn't let this go. There was one chance to do it, and I didn't miss it. And I'm thinking, one of the things maybe I'm the most I'm really proud is that the decision to go was not easy. When you try to beat a record like this, you have to first find a good day, and you can always ask yourself, is it the best day? And clearly I just know that the team around me, I was really thinking, okay, we go. And are you sure? No, I'm not sure, but we go. And there's people around you that they're not sure also. And you say, yeah, but we try. And this thing, I was proud to just not go back, just try. And it was a good try.
I mean, not only did you break Colville's record, but what absolutely astounds me, Francois, is that your record was the second fastest lap of the planet ever. I mean, you also beat Loic Perron's crude 2012 Jules Verne record, and he had 13 other people on board. I mean, it was an astonishing feat.
Yeah, I mean, we learned so many things on this boat the last years. Why I managed to go at this speed around the planet is because I sail well, and I did it, and I have to say it. I'm proud about it. But it's also the work of all of my team around me, and I will say even more than only our team. It's all everything we learn in this sport and in multi-hull sailing, in offshore sailing in the last 10, 15 years, and the ultimate boats are able to go so fast now. So that's, I will say we are in a mechanical sport, and our sport is really, our boats are really faster now. So that's in a way normal that we just break record, because it's not only the boat, we have to sail well after, but what we learn with my team, with all people around, it helps to do things like this.
Wasn't it Mich Desjoyeux that said about you that you've no fear of the speed? You know, just talk to me a little bit about, I guess, how dangerous sailing a giant overpowered foiling trimaran is day and night for 42 days. Talk me through some of the things perhaps that can so easily go wrong.
I love speed. I'm not afraid about speed, and I have to say I even think that sometimes speed is not dangerous. I will say it's sometimes safer to go fast. The fact on a boat where you use the wind and you have a weather forecast, the speed gives you some freedom to go where you want to go. And for example, on when you sail around the world, if you're fast enough, you can avoid a storm that's just on your back. So I'm not saying that the speed is only safety, because of course going more than 40 knots on the multi-hull is brings some other danger you don't have when you go slow. But it's not only danger. It's sometimes it's safer, and clearly I prefer to be on a boat that's able to sail more than 40 knots when I'm in some part of the world when there is stormy conditions and you can avoid the worst part of the storm. But of course, sailing this speed could be also a danger because we just start to go at this speed, and there is new danger coming with this, the same a little bit as danger we can have with a car. If you just stop the boat when you're going 45 or close to 50 knots and you stop it quite fast to 10 knots, it's really brutal and you can hurt yourself on the boat. So you need to adapt your way of sailing, your way of being on the boat, and it could be dangerous because we just discover this new way of sailing and this type of speed. So you have to always keep in mind that's going fast, because the boat is so good that sometimes it looks like easy to go fast. So you have to keep it in mind and to try to be really focused and never forget that it could multi-hull could capsize. Never forget it. But if you just slow down quite fast, or if you just touch a wave, always be sure that you can't hurt yourself falling. So it's not like easy way of sailing. It's just you need to be 100% focused on what you're doing, and should be okay.
What about the good days, the fast days? What's that like, Francois? You know, down south, chasing the record in perfect conditions.
That's good. It's what I love. I love the speed. I love the speed, clearly, and good day, good conditions where everything is perfect and you fly above water. It's just like feeling that's incredible, because it's not the most difficult day on a record. It's when you go really fast, everything is on place. So you just, as I said just before, you just be careful, just keep focus. Don't forget that you could slow down, and but it's just also enjoying the speed, and it's all the work you have done before, all the work the team have done, all the energy you just put in training, in working, in building, imagining a boat. All of this energy arrived to a point where the boat is falling 45 knots or more, and that's I feel it's just all the energy you just have before is arriving to this, and makes something incredible happen going fast on a boat.
It's hard to imagine that it's going to get faster. Let's talk a little bit about the future. And I know we did at the beginning of the podcast, we talked about all teams flying around the planet. You know, how quick do you think this is going to get? Foiling machines powering around the globe. Do you think we might even see a dry lap?
Yeah, I'm quite extreme about the future. I really think we can't put any limit on the future, because we're living a revolution that's so big in the sailing with the boat flying. We start a long time ago when a human understood that you can put wood on a boat and it floats, and you can put a big piece of wood or some part of wood and you can put inside and you just create a boat. And a few years after, they just understand that you can put a rudder on the back and you can put a mast and use the wind to make it like a sailing boat. We create this thousands of years ago, and since then we get this sailing boat better, but it doesn't change so much. Still mast, sail, and the way it floats, it's Archimedes, and it's quite the same things. And because of flying, because of using a foil, we're not using the same physical law. We just use the dynamic of the foil. We're not using Archimedes anymore. So this is all different. And it was the same law, physical law, for thousands of years. And just now, in 10 years, maybe foils exist for, maybe the concept exists for maybe 100 years, but it just in less than 10 years we managed to make it fly and to make it work like this. And this revolution is huge, and the consequences is now just for racing boats, but quite fast. I'm pretty sure it will arrive to cruising boat, to a lot of different boats. And this revolution is unique and it's big, and the consequences of this is I don't think someone could say a racing boat or even whatever, a boat will be this in 10, 20 years, because this revolution is really big. So answering the question, how fast could we go around the world, I have absolutely no idea, but I'm pretty sure we will go way faster than what we did in the last year, because we're living this revolution, and there is no reason we're not sailing way faster than what we did in the last years. And super happy, because I'm just a sailor and I just living just at this time of the history where a lot of things happen, and you don't know what will be the future, but it will be interesting and really different that's the past.
What about your future? What do you want to achieve next in the sport? What's the long-term goal?
Long-term goal is clearly to fly around the world, and as you said, if we could do a dry trip around the world would be perfect. But I will say that more than this, and more than maybe sport, I clearly hope to do something to make all of this progress we did in our racing boat, all of this revolution I'm pretty sure could have a huge impact on a lot of different subjects. And I don't know how, but I would like to just have a small role in all of this, and to not only do it for racing, just trying to do it for a lot of boats, for a lot of people could have a positive impact from this revolution. And I don't know exactly how, but I will just be happy to be part of this and to bring something into this big revolution.
Francois Gabart, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great. It's been enlightening to catch up, and I can't wait to be there when you come back from your dry lap. All the very best, and again,
Thanks a lot.
a massive thank you.
Thanks.
He's an extraordinary talent. It would be good to know what you think and if you enjoyed it. And it would also be fab if you left a review or rating on iTunes. Apparently it's really important in the podcast world. As always, a massive thank you to Tim at Vertigo Films for producing this edition and making it sound so good. Tim, you're a legend. Now, I know we said it would be one podcast a month, but it's a busy summer and it just seemed like the right thing to do to have a Sail GP special edition. Well, you can decide if it's special or not. But anyway, next week we're uploading an hour with Chris Draper. He's the CEO of the British team and he gives us a peek inside the tour. But it's not all Sail GP with Draper. A one-time fellow Team GB teammate of mine, he's been deep inside the elite end of the sport for quite some time. We even raced against each other in the Extreme 40s, that's going back some. And he's got a fascinating take on where the sport has gone since those early days of stadium racing. Thank you for listening. If you've tuned in, hunkered in a bunk, riding out the worst that the Fastnet has to throw at you, hang in there, it'll be worth it. And for all of you, have fun on the water. Sail safe, everyone.
This is Castle 1, race officer speaking.
Pressure coming here, pressure coming.
We're 1.5 below.
Stand by, 2 jives here, boys.
We're looking at 10.5 and 42. This is Castle 1 standing by. Out.